Well, we're getting zero for our farmers. Farmers have been hurt very badly by Canada, and they won't be paying any tariffs anymore. And we may bring some of the tariffs down to a level where other countries are, because Canada was paying us a higher tariff. Look, we have a very nice relationship with leadership right now, and we'll see. But we did a 3-day pause. It was supposed to be a 50% straight across the board tariff that was going into effect at 7 o'clock this morning. And I delayed it at the request of Canada for 3 days so we can iron out the details. But it's going to be a wonderful deal, hopefully a wonderful deal for everybody.
So that's Donald Trump just from not that long ago. Key thing in there that I just picked up, he said that 3-day pause, which is Saturday at midnight, was by Canada's request. Hadn't heard that up until now, so now there's an answer to that question. Why 3 days? Scott Reid, CTV political analyst and, of course, former advisor to Prime Minister Paul Martin, is on the line. Our feature, as always, brought to you by Guaranteed Industries, reminding you don't have to sweat it through the end of summer. Give their pros a call. They can take care of it, commercial, industrial, or residential. That's Guaranteed Industries, serving Montrealers since 1957, 514-342-3400. Scott, nice to have you back. I hope you've had a good summer, and you certainly got something to weigh in on today. To what I just said about that Trump part where Canada asked for the 3-day delay, what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, great to be back. Hope you had a great summer, too. I'm not too surprised by that. How many times has Trump gone out and said, listen, we've got a deal, like think about Iran, right? We have a deal, they're begging for a deal, and there's no deal, so I would think that we would want to make certain that whatever it is we have arrived at, which, in and of itself, I think is going to be a hard enough job to sell that, that we've got that thing buttered to the edge. So if it takes 3 more days, what negotiations are like, right? These things, like nobody moves until the last second because, you want to see if the other guy will blink.
Sure. I wonder, though, I will tell you, I asked the question of our listeners. I'm surprised, maybe disappointed is a better word, by the level of pessimism that is still out there, certainly from, the man on the street, if you will, that this is going to be a good deal for Canada. Are you?
I'm pretty guarded in my optimism. Yeah. Just because it's Trump, man, and so like I look at it from the perspective of 2 things. One, what's the substance of the deal? How far is he willing to go? I mean, it does sound, when the reports now about steel and aluminum, so it sounds like Carney did secure one of his key objectives, which is to link not just this round of tariffs, but with the previous round of sectoral tariffs. So it sounds like he got some concessions there. So that's a good thing. But, overall, I'm apprehensive about what the details are. My worry is that, one, we will have had to make concessions in order to forestall those really would have been damaging 50% tariffs, and maybe to secure some other gains. So we'll have to make some real concessions and compromises. And in return, do we just get process? Is it like promises to talk about this and sort out auto? Or have we pounded out a formula on auto? Do we know what the numbers are? Have we closed the door on supply management and we're not going to, entertain any more demands from them on that? Have we figured out where we're at on steel and aluminum? And, Aaron, I think the one thing that causes pessimism is that people don't believe that Trump can be counted on. They don't believe that a deal, even if we judge it to be a little bit more positive than perhaps we might have expected, they also worry that a deal with this guy is as good as his mood, and his mood changes by the second.
Look, I think there's some question. I know this dates back, these particular tariffs that he threatened, to the Smoot-Hawley Act. People say, from the 1920s. Yeah. My understanding is, this 3-day hiatus here, if you will, where we understand that, Mark Carney's got people out there, of course, now trying to talk down Canadian premiers. Do you think, and maybe this is my optimism sort of coming to the fore here, I can't imagine that in the wake of this deal, as I said, I know we don't know the details of it, but let's say there's some concessions here for Canada. Do you think any Canadian premier looking at either Doug Ford or David Eby or somebody will stand up and go, you know what, this is not good enough for what we want in our province, or we're not going to go ahead with this? Is that what you see happening?
I hope not. The one there are 2 that worry me. One is Eby, because, there's almost certainly not going to be any play on forestry. And to be fair, let's take a historical perspective. At the height of free trade mania, when there was a political consensus on both sides of the border. And I'm including the time that I was in government through the 90s and the 2000s. That's when it was at its peak. And we still had a free trade, or we still had a softwood lumber dispute with the United States. So the idea that it was going to get solved as part of this, which is the most difficult stage that we've ever been at, with the most difficult president, the most irrational person, that's unlikely. But can Eby put American wines back on his shelves in British Columbia if there's nothing for the forestry sector? The second person who worries me, the second premier, is Frechette, who obviously is going into an election, and you have to ask yourself, what can she swallow in terms of supply management? My guess is very little. And, so I'll be watching hard to see those. One thing, I just want to say this. One thing that is apparent is no matter what the deal is, something has changed. And I think it's going to take Canadians a while to fully get this. Free trade is gone. We lived forever, for 30, 40 years, where we had effectively free trade with some small carve-outs and exceptions, but effectively free trade with the United States and what you call managed trade, export caps, tariffs, with most of the rest of the world. Now, we're going to have managed trade with the United States, with export caps and tariffs, and we're going to try to get as much free trade as we can with the rest of the world to offset it. It's a monster difference, man.
Want to take a whack at what Trump was going on about with respect to Keystone? Yeah,
I think it makes a lot of sense. I also think this is an easy concession on Canada's part. He really cares about that. He wants a greater, more reliable, more dependable supply of energy and oil from Canada. Keystone was the most obvious instrument to make that happen. Months ago, it was back on the table. And there were media reports about this at the time, and then it all got kiboshed in and around the Blue Jays ad. Remember all that from Ford. And so I think this is one of those things that the Americans wanted. I think it's ready. I mean, obviously it makes the Premier of Alberta happy, more oil supply going to the States. So I don't think it's the kind of thing that causes a lot of Canadians to go, oh, we've made a big concession. But it does rub against Carney's logic, because what he's argued for a long time is, look, we have to diminish our reliance on the United States as a customer for our goods. Well, there's no bigger customer than the United States, and there's no bigger sales job that we do than oil. And so to increase our oil export, it does undermine a little bit of the broader project of, we want to get that oil to, we want to get it to Asia, because then that'll bid up the price for it. That'll give us other options, and that will diminish American leverage over us. This is going to be a bit of a reversal on that, but I don't think it's one that's going to cause them a ton of political pain.
All right. I want to shift focus to what we have going on here in Quebec. You're obviously aware. I had Paul St. Pierre Plamondon on my show yesterday. After this whole, don't worry, we have a plan now for the referendum. It's not going to happen until Donald Trump is out of office in January of 2029. And I'm curious, first of all, your reaction to that. And second, I asked him because I didn't think it was that weird a question. Donald Trump is 80 years old. He's not exactly in the best of health. There is the possibility that he won't last out 3 more years, right? What happens then? If he died tomorrow, would that mean the referendum is back? And he didn't really have an answer for that question. I find it hard to believe that they didn't think about that, but what do you think?
I bet he dodged that like a duck during duck hunting season. Look, I think this is a necessity. This is a political necessity. It looks like the PQ, should he go to win, they should have a win. But the referendum is the anchor around their ankle, and they know it. You look at Léger, you say, look, if you took the referendum off the table, suddenly they move into majority territory quite comfortably. It is a, like Bugs Bunny cartoon. It's like the piano that's hanging over their head, like 2 stories above. And so I think it makes good sense for him. It's smart politics to say, listen, I'm taking it off the table. You watch. By this time, 3 weeks from now, it's going to be shorthanded as, look, we've taken the referendum off the table. Like they'll just blow by it. The qualification around Trump is that Trump is the psychology that has made, I think, a lot of Francophone Quebecers so hesitant about the project of independence. Like, oh my God, then we're on our own and we're going to just get absolutely monstered by this orange freak. And so I think, that's the best seesaw. My guess is it might largely work, but it's so transparently tactical that if his opponents can be successful, like Maillard in particular, should be able to say, you're still for it, you're still promising it. The rest is details, man. So you're going to just yoke this, and you just created more uncertainty about when we're going to have it. But I think it's a good idea for him to inch away from that thing, because it was a grenade he was holding in his teeth, and they had the pin in his hand, so it wasn't good for him.
Although I'll tell you, in the past, when that's come up, when we start seeing polls that show 31%, support sovereignty, and he knew those are the lowest numbers we've seen in a long, long time, and they really haven't changed all that much. They've actually gone down. He's never going to be able to back away from it, right? That's the number one part of their platform. That's the whole blue book. So to simply try to, appease Quebecers who are worried about a referendum. He didn't say they're not going to have it. He said they are going to have it. He's just pushing it down the road 3 years, and I think most people see through that.
He's counting on people's cynicism in a weird way. Okay, so the attack against this, the way to go at it is, this is transparently cynical. Don't believe it. They're still for it. It's a fundamental basis of their political approach. He's counting on people's cynicism, though. He's counting on people to say, look, I can vote for change because I want change, and still, I can vote PQ for change and not have to worry about a referendum, because he knows at 31% he can't ever call this thing. He says he won't call it until Trump's gone. He's never going to call it. I'm cynical about this. He's literally counting on a psychology that people won't believe his commitment, right, because they think that he will always tack into the wind and fight for political self-preservation. And you know what? It might work. Like, there might be enough voters who go, yeah, he's not really going to do it. That's what he's counting on. He's counting on people not believing him. It's a peculiar thing.
I don't know. Scott, it's great to have you back. I thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus, now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry, with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch